everybody. Welcome to Life Stories Podcast, People Helping People. I'm Shara Goswick, your host, and I'm so glad that you're here. Today on the podcast, I chat with Zorina Pritchett, who created ZoChey games. Have you ever known a game creator? Because I have not. This was so interesting to me that she created these games that you can go online and purchase at Walmart. I mean, it amazes me. I loved talking to Zorina, and I loved hearing her story about why she created these games. Our word of the week this week.
It's the word of the week.
Is inspire. I believe that listening to Zorina's story is going to inspire you. You know, she had, like a lot of people do, we all have setbacks. We all have obstacles that we can use as excuses to not move forward, or use as excuses to think that what we want to do is never going to be able to happen. Or we can be overcomers and get past those things and still move on. She has lots of those. She has lots of reasons to say, there's no way. This is too much trouble. It's too much work. It's too much money. I've got other things in my life that are in the way. But she didn't. She pursued and pressed on and moved forward. And it is amazing that she did what she did. I loved hearing her story. I think she's going to inspire you to maybe take that next step to whatever it is that you're wanting to do that you think might be impossible. I love hearing stories like this, and I love sharing them with you. I thank you for being here, and I hope you have a great day. So I've really been looking forward to hearing about these games because I've never met anybody that has created a game before, ever. I've never known anybody to do that. So this is, to me, pretty special. So Somatic Shift, is that the name of your company? Or is that the name of the game?
The company is ZoChey.
Okay.
ZoChey.
Okay.
I came up with that name because Zorina, last alphabet in the Z, I wanted something with the Z in it. And then the C came in honor of my mother, Siesta. And then the hey, God has blessed me to create this amazing game for you. So that's how I came up with ZoChey.
Well, I love it. I love the name of it. So tell me, where did you even get the idea to create a game? Because, I mean, like I said, I've never met anybody that's actually done this before. Where did that come from?
Well, actually, I am telling myself in the world that I believe God inspired me because I became a caregiver for my brother, and my whole focus was on him following retirement. And I think God saw something that I needed something special. I needed another purpose because my purpose was serving veterans for 30 plus years.
Oh,
And
wow.
so now I'm a caregiver, but that wasn't enough for me. I needed a new purpose. And one of the things I noticed about my own grandchildren, they were always in their phones. And so in December of 21, this idea of this game came to me, and I tried to dismiss it. Honestly, people laugh at me, but it's true. I tried to dismiss it because I never liked playing games. I couldn't stay focused enough to play a game. And so, but this particular game just kept coming to me. So I finally broke down and surrendered. And I went to my local hardware stores and I got some paint cards, and then I just laid it out as I saw it in my head. And then I tested it with my family, particularly my granddaughters, like I mentioned before, that were always in their phone. And so my family liked it. They said, well, the way I had it, the prototype was for 2 people. And so my son said, Mom, this is a great game. Can you make it so at least 4 people? I went home, made a plate of food, went on my deck. I prayed, put the game out, said, okay, God, how do we expand your game? And he started giving me the mathematical formula of how many cards here, how many this card, how many that card. And then I went home and told my son, no, I didn't go home. Sorry about that. I didn't go home. I went over to their home and brought the game to my son. They played it. And they were like, Mom, this game is so fun. And we also noticed the uniqueness about the game was that it's a quick play game. So you don't have to give up a lot of your time because parents are really busy like they are.
Right.
But we also noticed because of the quick play and the dynamics of the game, my granddaughter, the youngest, had emotional regulation issues that her parents did not know. She's very
Mm.
competitive, and she started having outbursts, throwing cards and stuff.
Wow.
And as more we continued to play the game, the more we noticed she was becoming more in control. And I asked her what was going on with her. And she said, well, Gigi, it plays so different. It's fast, it's interesting, and I hated to lose. But she said, now that I know the game, I really like it, and I'm more back into control. So I enjoyed that specialness about it, that if you're someone have
Sure.
emotional regulations, don't like to lose, pick up a copy of Zomatic Shift, because it will make you angry. And that's how the name Zomatic evolved,
Okay.
because the
Hmm.
Zorina's
Hmm.
game is going to make you mad when you have to shift your hand, because you never keep your original hand with this game. It rotates around the table. And that's
Oh,
what gives
wow.
the kids that suspense, that they never keep their um, original hand. And then also, every player has an equal chance of winning, because it's a chance style game, and kids love beating their parents with this
Oh,
game.
yes,
So
I
God
bet.
gave me a special game that parents who don't have a lot of times, or parents who have special needs kids, because I do have another version. I have 3 games totally that I was inspired to create. I just want to see families together. And I think that's
Yeah.
what God wants. He wants us to put down our digital devices and
Mm.
reconnect and bring back the family time.
Yeah. So tell me about the other two games that you have.
The other game was it's called Pass and Play. And
Hmm.
Pass and Play came about when I was vending, trying to promote Zomatic Shift. This
Hmm.
little girl came up to my table. She looked like she was about maybe 8. And so I tried to play the game with her, and she had a little difficulty. And so I was swimming that morning, and I prayed and I said, God, how can you take your original game, make it so that little kids can play it? And so he gave me the formula for Pass and Play. And so I created that one for kids 4 to 10. And
Hmm.
Somatic Shift is for ages 11 and 12. But we
Okay.
know that children are different in their maturity and how they handle
Sure.
things. But something special happened with that game too. One day I was vending, this little girl came up and she was playing it, and her mom was shocked that she was playing it and following along. And so she said, oh, I want a copy. So she bought a copy, and she told me that she was surprised that her daughter was playing. And I asked her why. She said, because my daughter is a special needs, and she has difficulty staying focused. And
Hmm.
so that sparked the interest in testing the game with special needs children, which I
Sure.
did at a local school, and they loved it.
Oh,
And
that's
so now
awesome.
I've been promoting that one. And then I had a podcaster to test it with her child who had
Yeah.
difficulty playing games, and she wanted a game for him. And so she
Wow.
played Pass and Play. And then the third game is something that I fell in love with games. God
That's
put that in my
awesome.
heart. I love game, and that's face off.
Yeah.
So that plays different. That's a grab game where kids can
Yeah.
grab cards with each other. And so that's how I became a game creator. It wasn't something that I set out to do. I think this is just a new purpose in life that God has given me. He's given me inspiration to do a multiplication game. I've already developed it. It's just sitting
Wow.
there, because you got to sell the first 2 in order
Yeah.
to get the other manufactured. I think what keeps me going seriously is family, kids. I really
Yeah.
want to see them connect with their families.
That's so important. And this is just so interesting to me. How do you even like how did you go from having this idea, God giving you this idea and doing it out and then having it available to people to order? Like what I wouldn't even know what step to take to get to that point. Like what did you do?
I did. And I got a mentor who was able to help me, not with that part, but just help me to understand the business part, which I still struggle.
Hmm.
But as far as getting the game developed, I have to say it was God, because when I first developed the prototype, official prototype, I went to Staples, and so they undercharged me. They didn't do the prototype right, and when I went back, they initially charged me $195.
Yeah.
And then when I told him it wasn't done correctly, the guy said, "Oh, it really should be 1,095." And he said, "But because we made a mistake, we're only
Oh
going to."
my
So
goodness.
what I found out as I was doing the development part, God, he blessed me to get savings like crazy.
That's
I went
amazing.
to the manufacturer. I found a good graphic person. He was able to do pretty good graphics for me. And then when I went to the manufacturer, he made changes that for me without charging me. They normally charge
Wow.
you, but he just, I don't know. Like, shout out to Mike. I think maybe God has touched his heart to see the vision that I'm trying to do. And so basically, what I'm saying is that I did not know, but what God has did is he put people in place to help me. And that's why I think if whether you want to go into business, you want to go to college, whatever you think you have doubt, when you surrender to God and trust him, he places people in your pathway to help you along the way. And
Sure.
that's what he did for me.
That's amazing. So what kind of feedback have you been getting from people that have played or reviews or like what are people saying about these games?
I've gotten positive feedback, but the thing about it, I wish people would leave reviews because I've sold some on Walmart from various areas of United States, but
Uh-huh.
they haven't circled back to give a review. For us, like children, I do career days at school, and the kids
Uh-huh.
just love it. I think the kids also get a kick out of meeting a game creator because it's not every
Yes.
you get to meet a game creator.
Yes.
Also, when I do career day, I like to show them the prototype from how it looks from the raw form to the manufacturer and then the actual product. Just let them know the stages of game development.
Yeah.
But most of the time, when people play it, they're thrown off, honestly, because it plays different. We're so used to a certain structure when we play games.
Mhm.
But I think with God, because He's always doing something new and dynamic, He changed the whole structure where people, I realized, they don't want to share. I have to say, and with this game, you don't own your hand. Remember, you don't own it. So when you tell people, when you hit a card that says left or right, that means everyone holding a card will shift their entire hand to the left or to
Oh,
the right.
wow.
And what I find more often with adults than the children, they don't want to let it go. They're like, oh, I got to give up my whole hand. Yes, you have to surrender. And so one of the things that I started really going deeper into the game on a spiritual level, we have 12 days, we have 12 months, right?
Mhm.
So there's 12 months of developing you, of shifting you. And
Yeah.
so the 12 months, when there's the 12 color cards, there's only 12 player cards, and you match those 12 cards, and that's how you eliminate it. And so when I look at those 12 cards from a spiritual perspective, that means that you're never walking alone. God is walking through with you all through those months of he's walking with us. We're paired up
Wow.
with him. And then there's cards that say give and take. If you pull those cards, you have to take one card out of your hand and give it to the person to the left or your right. And that's how we're supposed to be. We're always supposed to be giving of ourselves to him and
Yeah.
also be able to give of ourselves to help others. And then the take card, you either, when you pull that card, you get to take a card from a person to the left and right. And I look at that card, sometimes we're going to have trials and tribulations, and it's going to seem like things are taken from us. But that's okay because you're not walking alone. You're going to be able to
Mm.
take it, and it may come in different directions, but you can handle it because you're not walking alone. God is walking with you. And then there's the wild card. The wild card allows you to take a player out, or you get back in the game if your last card is pulled. And I always looked at the wild card as that anchor card that,
Mhm.
you know what, he's right there. You can play it anytime. If it's in your possession, you can play that card.
Sure.
And then finally, you have the shift card, as I mentioned earlier, the left and the right. That means that we have to realize as we're growing in Christ, there's a shifting going on. And you have to be open. You have to surrender and shift to the right or to the left as it deemed necessary for your growth. And so that's how I was able to see the game Zomatic shift from a spiritual perspective. But in just
Mhm.
playing it in a sense, people don't like to give. They don't like they like the taking part, but they don't
Right?
like giving away. And they really don't like shifting their hands. And so it throws people off But when you play the game the way he ordained it to be, when I tell you, and I know you might say, oh, you're biased, you're creator. No, 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 no. The game is so fun. Two people can play the game in 3 minutes or less.
Oh, wow.
Four people can play it because it's such a fast moving game that
Yeah.
the game can be the round can be over very quickly, which will allow you to play multiple rounds with your kids, especially if you have a tight schedule.
Yeah. I love all of that. I think that's just so great. I'm gonna have to get this game for my grandkids when they come out here again because they love playing games. We love playing games, but we don't play a lot until they come out here. So we're gonna have to do that with them. I know what you're saying about reviews. It's very frustrating because it's just frustrating when you create anything and people don't review. It's hard, and I don't know why it's so hard. I should do it even more than I do for other people, but it is, I get your frustration, believe me. So when I get it, I will leave a
Like a
review. I promise.
survey. I'm like, I don't want to have time for. I just think, I don't blame people. I just feel like God gave me this, something that I didn't ask for. I'm putting it out there as long as I can. I'm believing in Him. And so we mentioned earlier when I was talking about my illness, there's times I felt like, wow, can I do this? And he always sent us something to inspire us. My mentor
Mhm.
told me, no, we're not giving up on your dream, because he was
Mhm.
surprised about me being in this space, because there's not too many women into the game industry, just not that
Yeah.
many of us. And so we have access to children all the time. And so to be in this space promoting something that I genuinely believe that was divine inspired,
Yeah.
that gives me hope more and more to try to reach out to as many parents, not only parents, but I'm also trying to reach seniors because I'm a senior now. And so when I get an opportunity to play with my grandkids, it's a chance for me to connect with them. And it's not
Sure.
a long, drawn out type of game. And I can talk smack with them and find out what's going on with school and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I like that connection. I also like when I play with my brother because a lot of times I feel when you're a caregiver, you're more of dictating to them and
Mhm.
telling them what to do. And when I start playing a game with him, it gives us a chance to both relax and not be in this give and take exchange and direction all the time, but to allow him to relax and have fun. And so
Yeah.
I'm very happy that I have a game that I can connect with my brother on that level too during this caregiving stage as
Sure.
well.
Well, all of it's impressive, but considering everything else that's going on in your life, it really is inspiring. Um, when you talked about going to the schools, if you go to any schools that, and really doesn't have to be low income areas, but especially in that, because I've worked in that before, some of those kids don't have anybody to inspire them other than teachers and what they see and hear at school. They're not hearing that there are possibilities that I could do this one day. I could go to college one day, or I could do this. A lot of them don't ever hear that. So I think that's probably really inspiring for those kids for you to come wherever you go to talk to them. But what if somebody's out there and they have an idea? Maybe it's not a game, maybe it's, I don't know, anything else, but they think there's no way I could ever do this. Even especially somebody that doesn't know God, that doesn't have a relationship with God. What could you say to encourage them to step out and take that step and to, walk towards that dream that they have?
Well, I would recommend this nonprofit organization called SCORE, SCORE. They work to help small businesses
Okay.
develop, if you want to go into business with that idea, or even giving mentoring to see if your ideal is even viable. They can
Sure.
help you. And so I reached out to them and asked for help. And so having a mentor has been really instrumental in me learning business because, as I stated earlier, I still struggle with that. And the
Yeah.
other thing I think that's more important is believe in yourself that you can do it. Like I said, I didn't know. I will be honest and transparent. It does take resources.
Sure.
How I was able to do it, I saved up money and got it done. And then also, I was in a car accident and I sustained a concussion. And so I got a small settlement. And I
Mm,
actually took that small settlement and bought those games out of faith. And I
there you
still got
go.
those games on my shelf, but I know
Yeah.
one day they're going to be gone because I was willing to, I believed in God's vision of families connecting, and I believe in the funness of this game, that I want to sow into that atmosphere. And so I will tell you that if you really want to do it, do some research on your own.
Okay.
Look up score and ask yourself, are you willing to make the financial sacrifice? Because it is going to take finances, whether you go out to crowdfunding or any of those other activities that can help generate funds to help develop your idea. But it is going to take funding. But most important, it's going to take that drive and
Yeah.
belief in yourself. And only you can control the cost of that, because
Yeah.
you're priceless.
That is true. That's so good. So you said you have another game that you're working on that's not fully developed yet?
Yes, it's a multiplication game. It's the game where kids can learn multiplication. I thought it would be fun with parents because they won't have their calculators
Yeah.
either. And so I got the concept. I had met a school teacher and I was telling her about it. And so I'm hoping she'll be able to connect me with some school teachers who willing to take a look at it. And I developed the prototype and we discuss it, because I really want my games to be not only quick play, but I
Right.
also want them to be educational and engaging.
Yeah.
I think when we think of learning, when it's not in such a always a structure, but it can be still learn something in a fun way, it may stick with kids and also take the pressure off of parents, because I think working is enough stress. And so you don't need to be stressed by a game. Um,
Right.
and so if I can do that, that would be wonderful, that parents can have something educational that would teach their kids their science as well, because I want to also venture off into what area of science that I can do to make it into a quick game or something that kids can walk away with, that same way with any type of history and things like that. I just want to be impactful as
Yeah.
much as I can to make a difference in our kids' development, especially their social skills, because I
Yeah.
think with COVID, it took so much away from us. And I think it's time to bring it back. And I always say this: how do we expect kids to build a community if we're teaching them to be isolated?
Yeah.
Games are wonderful for learning and entertainment, but if children are spending too much time by themselves, how do you expect them to connect with others when you're not nurturing their social skills and making sure
Yeah.
their total well-being is balanced? And that's what I want to advocate for our kids, because when I teach my games at Career Day and I ask kids about, do you like playing regular games as video games? And one little girl told me, she said, I like them both, but she said, with video games, I'm always by myself and I don't like
Yeah.
it. But she more than likely wouldn't tell her parents that, because, kids are protective of their parents.
Right.
So, but they like that camaraderie that they have, that competitive that they have in playing with each other in a social construct. And I think we need to go back to that.
Yeah, I love that. I think everything you said is spot on. Well, is there anything I did not ask you about your games? I'm definitely going to be ordering. You said that they are at Walmart, so can we order at Walmart online?
Yeah, you can type
Okay.
in ZoChey, ZoChey. They'll
Okay.
pull up that way. Or if you the Zomatic shift,
Okay.
they'll come up that way, or pass and play.
Okay.
Or you can visit my website. God bless me to get a pretty decent designer at a reasonable price.
That's amazing.
That's Zochey.com,
Okay.
ZoChey.com. It shares the images of the game. It tells you my story, and there's a buy button
Okay.
you can click, and it'll take you directly to Walmart. A lot of
Okay.
people I'm finding, that want me to do direct sales. I'm in
Mhm.
prayer with that. I don't know if I can handle that physically on my own, so I'm going to
Right.
talk to my mentor to see. I may have to share part of I'm retired, so I might
Yeah.
be able to share part of my pension and get someone to help me if I set up a website.
Sure.
I want to go into a consultation with my mentor to make sure that's a good financial
Yeah.
vision for me, because there will be some level of stress with that. And I don't
Yeah.
want to stress myself out, because I am a disabled veteran. And so I
Right.
don't want to get sick. I can only do this part time.
Yeah.
But it's an enjoyable part-time because I tell you, when I meet those kids, or even when I work with the seniors, or when I do therapy sessions with the veterans, because I do have veterans in game therapy for those who have mental health conditions, so they can connect with their families. Because a lot of times, with the experience of combat, many veterans find themselves withdrawn. And
Yeah.
so I'm trying to encourage them that you can have fun with your family. They do want you to show up, and what better way
Sure.
to show up is to experience a fun game where you can just let your
Yes.
guards down and not be stressed. And so they like that idea. So I've been
Yeah.
doing that. But yeah, that's how they can reach me at ZoChey.com. But one of the things that I will say, as believers, we want to show up with purpose, and we want
Right.
to make sure that we're walking according to the will of God. And sometimes we can feel like we're doing the right thing and
Mm-hmm.
we have good intentions, but that may not be where He wants us to go.
Right.
And that's okay, because he loves us so much that He knows how to
Yeah.
say, not that's not the direction I wanted you to go. And when I think about being in this game space, I ask myself why.
Yeah.
Because there was a moment when I was seeking help. The gentleman that was trying to help me, I think he was shocked that I was a woman in this space.
Yeah.
And the way he talked to me, it was very, not condescending, but the tone was very kind of like disturbing.
Yeah.
And I don't make light of this. So I want your audience to know, in case you put this in, I'm not making light of this. But it taught me that at that moment, the way he was talking to me, I literally could imagine how Moses felt when God called him forward.
Yeah.
And not having that confidence and questioning, why me? I'm not this. I didn't ask to be in this space. I don't know if I can deliver and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I really felt that way, because I'm like, I'm someone that could not play games because I just couldn't follow them. And I think back
Yeah.
then in the 60s, they didn't have a diagnosis for that like they do
Yeah.
today. And so to know that I'm in this space, it's just unbelievable.
Mhm.
And so what I'm trying to say is that sometimes God may call us into a space that's uncomfortable, a space that you didn't envision for yourself, but He knows why He's calling you into that space.
Well, I'm so excited for you, and I hope this thing takes off because I think it's amazing. I really do. I think it's very cool. So I just thank you for talking to me today, for telling me all about the game. I'm excited to get it. I think my grandkids will love it, but I definitely want to get the older one for my husband and I for sure to play. They may not be able to play that yet, but we will be able to. So I'm just proud of you, and I'm excited to share this with everybody. I hope people just go out and buy them all. I hope they do.
I hope so too, but I'm going to stay in the game. I'm going to stay in the game and see
Good.
this thing through, because I know God, all things are possible with Him.
That's right. That
He
is right.
really
Well,
is.
thank you for being my guest today and sharing this with me. I just wish you the best. I'm excited. I'm excited for you. I really am.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You have a wonderful rest of your day.
All right, bye.
Okay. Bye bye.